Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tip Tuesday. This is Geoffrey Nance here with you. And we just finished up a series of different trading styles. We talked about, day trading, swing trading, long term investing. And now we're going to start up a new series here, and we're going to call it Springing into Action. So, we're going to be looking at several different ways that we can begin to really take action that's going to make a difference in our trading. So, we'll be looking at some very practical things. Some of that will be geared towards the way that we think through trades. Some of it will have to do with the longevity of our expectations of our trading journey, what that's going to look like. And then we're going to do some very practical things when it comes to just timing. How do we think through how we're going to time the market, how we understand movement over time? So we were looking at a series of things and just talking about really taking action as we spring forward. So, as I was kind of thinking through this topic a bit, I kept going back to the question of what's the point of learning a language? So, for anybody that's learned a language, I think I've mentioned this maybe a few times on here before, but at some point in my educational career, I have studied at least four languages and spent over 2 years on each one. So obviously we have English. Then I spent 2 years in learning Spanish, 2 years in 2.5 years in Hebrew, 2.5 years in Greek. And after having spent time in all four of those languages, here I am now, well over 2 decades removed from some of those courses. And I basically now know one of those languages. Now, I know bits and pieces of each one still, maybe some Greek. I might still know some Greek. But if I picked up the Hebrew Bible, I can still make out some of the words. Some Spanish I still know. I know I don't speak it very well, but I can still understand it and say some things that would probably get me a couple of things that I needed from people, or at least under a general understanding of where I was going if I was in Mexico, but not much, not much. And then English, of course, is the one that makes a difference. As I was thinking through all of this, one of the things that really occurred to me is something I wanted us to think through today is what's the point of learning anything? What's the point of learning anything? Because I recently attended a presentation. The speaker was very knowledgeable. He definitely knew his stuff. I could tell he knew his stuff. I was familiar with the topic, but wanted to hear more about what somebody else had to say. And one of the things that I really took away from that is something that I think will help all of us as we move forward over this particular series called Springing into Action. And it was this: if I were to ask you guys, how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? For the most part, we would have a general idea of how this is done. Now, there might be some variance as to, who grabs the peanut butter first. Do they put it on the left side? Do they put it on the right side? Do they use the same knife for the peanut butter and to spread the jelly? But for the most part, it would be like, all right, grab some bread, grab your peanut butter, get your knife, slap the peanut butter on the bread, then go get some jelly and put it on the bread and put the other piece on top of it. And voila, peanut butter jelly sandwich. Go enjoy. And as I was sitting through this presentation, one of the things that kept occurring to me over and over and over again is, wow, the speaker is knowledgeable. The information is fantastic. It's a really comprehensive overview of everything that they could be talking about. But I sat there and I was like, wow, if I was hearing this for the first time, I would have no clue where to go next. I would be sitting out there, because here's what I feel like happened. So we sat there, and I feel like what happened is they went into every ingredient in jelly and how the jelly was made. and how it was canned. And then the different types of jelly and how you can go pick this one and maybe this one's better than another one. And it's like, all right, spend all this time like hanging out, just trying to figure out like jelly, like that whole thing. And then we went into peanut butter and it's like, all right, here's every ingredient in peanut butter. And here's the different varieties of peanut butter. And here's how they put the peanut butter in the jars and stuff. And here's how they brand it and all that stuff. And so at one point I was just sitting back there thinking, man, that's fantastic. Um, but what I really wanted to know is how to make a sandwich. So now I've got all this information and I'm like, all right, here's all this cool stuff about what goes into jelly. Here's all this cool stuff about what goes into peanut butter, but I don't know how to make a sandwich. Like, do you spread the peanut butter? Does it just kind of fall out? Like, I don't understand. So I had this really, tremendously informed presentation, but I left feeling like, wow, this is overwhelming. It's like it was so much stuff that I really wasn't sure how to make a sandwich after I left. And really, what I wanted to do today is kind of an intro session for what we're going to talk about is to really express to you guys that one of the things that we really want you to do with trading is to not simply have knowledge, but to be prepared to apply that knowledge, right? So there's a time and a place for us to teach you about peanut butter and all the ingredients that go into making peanut butter and putting it in jars and all that stuff, and how some brands are better than others. There's a place for that. Same thing with the jelly and picking your bread and the different types of bread and how that might impact the taste. There's a place for all of that. But what I don't want you guys to do is get overwhelmed to the extent that now you feel like, you know what? I'm so overwhelmed with information that I feel like I don't even want any more information. There's a buddy of mine, you guys might know him. His name is Dave Huber. And one day he said something that I thought was very confusing. I heard somebody else say it, and so he quoted it, and he said, for most people, they think that when they have information overload, the next step is to step away, not get any more information, and just kind of dwell on what they have. And he said, ironically enough, the answer to information overload is actually to get more information. And the first time I heard that, I was like, Dave, somebody hit you in the head and you are now confused. If I'm already confused about something, I don't need to go get more confused about it. That's not going to make me be more prone to use that stuff. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? It sounds weird. It sounds wrong, but there's some legitimacy to that. And why is that? Because the more I learn about something, the more inundated I become with a topic, the more likely I am to understand that topic. So the reason that I'm likely confused is not because I have too much information. It's because I don't have enough understanding. Okay. Because if I have an understanding, now I can take that information. You can apply even more or give me more information. I'll still be able to take that information, process it in a meaningful way, and connect with you. So when I'm feeling like I have too much information, instead of doing what most of us do, which is to step away and say, wow, I don't need more information. I need less because I am kind of overwhelmed with the amount of information. Part of what I want you guys to realize is actually the answer might be the opposite. When you feel like you're not comprehending or understanding something, the answer might not be to step away, but to actually get more information. Now, here's the last thing I will leave you with. Simply having information doesn't mean that you're going to comprehend any better. So at some point, if somebody just says the same thing over and over again, and then they add to it and say it in a way that you don't understand it, you're still not going to apply that. So one of the things that we want to do, and one of the things that we have really tried hard to do here at Tradeway, is to present what really is a complex system, okay? But to break it down into usable, manageable segments. so that whether you're starting out or whether you have a deep understanding of the subject material, you'll be able to come in and process this in meaningful segments and to build off of those. And that's something that we try really, really hard to do, is to put this in a way where we build a solid foundation and then we come in and build on that foundation. Guys, listen, just like you're learning a language, you're going to start out with letters. You're going to start out and move towards vocabulary so that you're putting these letters together, you're making words, then you're eventually forming sentences. Trading is going to be very similar. Initially, we're going to start you out with some terminology, but we're also going to talk a little about mindset, because there are some elements of that that really are critical to you even feeling like you're going to be in a place to even move forward. But then once you have that foundation, we want you to continue to build on it. And so what we're going to try to do is to present that information to you in meaningful, digestible segments that make you feel like, all right, this is information. Certainly I need more. And anytime you feel like you're overwhelmed, remember, the key isn't to get less. The actual solution to feeling like you're overwhelmed is to go get more information, because the more information you have may lead you to understanding something that right now is a hang up for you. So you go get more information, you hear it slightly differently, and then you go, I get it. Then all the stuff, the things that were confusing earlier start to make more sense. The things that come after that make more sense, because you have that solid foundation to build off of. So as we begin to spring into action with this series, I want you guys to hang with us here. Understand that our goal is to educate you. We have so many ways of doing that. This Tip Tuesday is just one of those. So most of the time we are going to keep things fairly basic, but we want you to understand we're laying a foundation because we don't want you to stay where you are from an elementary perspective, but we want you to feel solid in that. You're not going to be able to do calculus until you feel really good about adding and subtracting. So we're going to stay here. We're going to lay that foundation with the easy subtraction, and we're going to go into multiplication, division. We want to move you past that into algebra, etc. Why? Because we want you to have the tools so that you can build on the foundation that's been laid, and then understand that having more tools allows me the opportunity to trade in different markets and to leverage my money and to essentially be in the same type of trades, but potentially get better results. And why would we not want that? So the goal here of our education is to move you into application. So we want you guys to join us as we take and continue this journey into springing into action. We'll see you next time.